just text and his portrait. So this week we are going to make a collage, and actually we're going to make two collages. And so what you're going to do is you're going to choose two of the design fundamentals, and you're going to create two separate collages. So if you chose shape, you would find examples of shape by looking through magazines, or you can cut out or create your own shapes if you want for this project. You can photograph things and use the photographs, or you can cut out from magazines, or you can print from the computer. But you are going to do this kind of cut and paste collage on two of the design fundamentals, and you get to choose them. So here's an example. This was a student example, and the idea behind this one was value. So even though value is the primary concept being explored, there's also other things happening in here. You have shape, you have a little bit of texture, you have a little bit of line. So it's not that you're just going to have one fundamental, but your primary should be the fundamental that you really think about and that you really explore. But in addition to thinking about the primary fundamental, value in this case, you also want to create a composition that's interesting to look at. And so you want to think about the positive and the negative space. You want to think about focal point. Here's another example. This was line. So there's also some color in here, but you can see that that creates kind of an interesting composition. There's something interesting happening with scale. So in class, I'm going to show you guys a lot of different examples and that students have done in the past, and I'm going to get you started with some magazines, and we can actually look through some magazines and cut and paste and start to get ready for our collage. I'll also give you a piece of black paper to paste everything onto. So start thinking about what fundamentals you want to choose, and you'll be doing two separate collages, one for each of the fundamentals chosen. Example of color. I think this last one was texture, actually. Here's color. This one's not too interesting. I would really encourage you to think about the whole space and the framing and what's happening within the space in terms of the design. This was actually value. It was really nicely done. It was a grid pattern. And this was shape, but there's also definitely some texture in here. This was another one that was shape. This was value, beautifully done with these little pieces of fabric that were glued down on a larger piece of fabric. This was color, texture. This one I think was line. This was texture. This was line. So you can see how nice these are. This was value. So really think about the fundamental, think about how you can describe it in the design. Also think about how you can make an interesting design with whatever you're choosing to, whatever elements you're choosing to use. And you can, like I said, basically use anything. It can be imagery, it can be something you find in nature like leaves. I've had students work kind of by pasting down leaves onto the page, and then let's see what happens. Let's try and create our first really interesting design based on these concepts. This one was texture. I love how everything kind of just fits together. Okay, I'm going to go through and get to our project here, looking at a few more of these. This was beautiful. It was line. Another one for line. Texture. This was color, but there's also a lot of texture happening on this one. This was shape. This was line. This was texture. So think about what you want to do and look at the assignment in week 3.